Start. Mr. Deputy Chairman, I confess that while the bill before us has one or two good points, I am not at all happy about the form in which it has been placed before us. It does not seek to remove any of the major defects in our existing election law. We all know the serious imperfections of the Representation of the People Act 2001 that is in existence now, with such amendments as were made in 2006. But this bill, which seeks to remove defects, does not touch any of the major defects that are found in the major. Of what use is this bill, which deals with only minor points? It deals with one or two major points also, and I shall refer to them. But by and large, the bill is of a minor character, and I do not think any harm would have been done if the government had waited 1 or 2 years more, studied the report of the Election Commission, had given us time also to study it, and then had come with a final decision with regard to the amendments that should be made in the existing act. I shall refer only to one point in this connection. In the Act of 2001 as it was before it was amended in 2006, election expenses mean all expenses incurred in connection with the election of the candidate, whether authorized by him or his election agent or not. In 2006, however, this restriction was removed. I mean, this connotation of the term election expenses was altered, and the return of election expenses was to relate only to the expenses incurred or authorized by the candidate or his election agent. That means the unauthorized persons could spend money in the interest of a candidate, but the expenditure incurred by them was not to be shown in the return of election expenses. If the limit prescribed in the rules is to have no meaning, or if it is to be of such a character as not to limit the maximum expenditure that can be incurred in connection with the election, it is obvious that the wealthy will always stand a better chance in a contest than a meritorious candidate who is poor. But that feature has not been touched.